Entrepreneurs are more prone to burnout than many other industries. And this is because we kind of know no bounds. We put everything into our business because people tell us that we have to go all in our business. Otherwise, we're just slacking. Like, sleep is for the weak, time is money, and all this sort of stuff, which is supposed to encourage us to do everything for our business because it's our baby. And with all those success stories dominating social media, it's no wonder we're like busting our butts, because we want to have that same success that everyone else supposedly has, and their perfect lives and their Lambos and designer handbags, and they just seem to be doing that on just a 4-hour work week. Thank you, Tim Ferriss. I want to talk about burnout because I've burnt out many a time before, and it's not pleasant, and it's definitely dangerous. And this video is all about how I now work fewer hours, and I'm way more productive and way more healthier and happier in my life. So stay tuned, I'm going to tell you how I do it. So first of all, I want to talk to you about hustle culture.
Slaves worked all the hours they were awake for their entire lives. I think if they can do it, so can I.
If you're a man and you're single, right, no kids, you're not working at least 80 hours a week, the fact is that you're lazy.
99% of people have no excuse for not being able to make 10 grand a month.
I feel like it's got a bit of a bad rap. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a hustle bro. I am not saying that you have to get up at 5 in the morning, you jump in your ice bath, and you do your workout, and you do all this stuff, and you don't sleep because sleep is for the weak. No, I'm not saying any of that. But I do believe in hustling of some kind. I don't believe that pure manifestation is possible in the way that social media says it. I do believe in visualization and all that sort of stuff, but I don't believe that you just set yourself some goals, create a vision board, write a number on a post-it note, and it just magically happens.
Makes you wanna go. Makes you wanna go. Na 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 na
I think that the balance is somewhere there. And it's like you've got that hustle culture thing, you've got this manifestation thing, and I think that real success lies in the middle somewhere. And that's why I like to call it a healthy hustle, because I think that everyone needs to work hard to get success, depending on your definition of success, but I do believe this. But I also believe that you don't need to burn yourself out. And I think this anti-hustle culture has come because the hustle bros have ruined it. They've gone OTT with what you're supposed to do in order to see success. And therefore it's causing people to be the other end of the spectrum, and they're like just this fear of hard work. And that's also dangerous because it's encouraging laziness. And as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to absorb content, and you see other people living this perfect lifestyle because that's what people put on social media, and you think that you have to emulate what they do. So there's a lot of people who are the anti-hustle culture who are just saying that they work 4 hours a week, they're on a beach, they're just going to spas, they're doing all this stuff with life, and other people are just like, well, I can do the same thing. If they can do it, I can do that. And I think that's a little bit dangerous. Now, I think that people are misusing the word burnout because there's a misconception of what it actually means. And I'm going to read out the definition that WHO uses, as in the World Health Organization, on burnout. This is their definition, verbatim. Burnout is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It is characterized by 3 dimensions: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. So basically, you're just sick and tired of work. That's what burnout is. And it's interesting because burnout, it says it's from chronic workplace stress. So burnout is a condition that happens due to work and not actually from anything else. So it's kind of crazy that this is a specific term. Now, what's interesting is that I work with entrepreneurs and I see founders and entrepreneurs talking about this and burnout all the time. Now, their chronic workplace stress is what they're causing for themselves. They don't have a workplace, like a boss, an office that's not theirs that they can blame it on. If they are their own boss, it's the environment that they have created themselves. So this is what's a little bit different when entrepreneurs talk about burnout, because they've created it for themselves. If it's chronic workplace stress and it genuinely is burnout, then they have created these conditions that has led to that stress. Now, it then talks about negativity towards a job. The problem is, when it comes to burnout, everyone faces some level of these symptoms at some point. The sort of typical symptoms are like headaches, fatigue, low mood, all that sort of stuff, which could be a number of factors too. Take, for example, a lot of people would say the word, I feel depressed. But depression is an actual clinical mental illness, and there is a clinical definition for what depression actually is, to be diagnosed with depression. Whereas lots of people use that term, may just have a really low mood, and they might be really low, don't get me wrong, and bouts of those symptoms of depression, but they're not clinically depressed. So lots of people are using these terms, and it's because it then becomes a thing. It becomes bigger than it is, and it's also, you can then make these excuses for why you're not performing a certain way, and sometimes you just need a break. And I think it's making people a little bit more scared, because burnout, like I said, if you look at the symptoms of burnout, there could be anything. In fact, let me just read some of the symptoms of burnout too, just so you can compare. We've got some physical symptoms: headaches, stomach aches, fatigue, frequent illness, changes in appetite or sleep, muscle pains, weight loss or gain, both. Vision changes such as blurred vision, dry eyes or sensitivity. I think I've had all of those today, honestly. And then emotional symptoms: helplessness, cynicism, sense of failure or self-doubt, decreased satisfaction, feeling detached or alone, or loss of motivation. I think every entrepreneur has those. Behavioural signs: reduced performance in everyday tasks, withdrawal, isolation, procrastination, outbursts, or using substances to cope. Okay, don't know about the last one, but all of those things are something that I see every single day. I'm not even joking. Every single day I have a good half of that list. And using substances to cope, I mean, last night I was like, I could do with a glass of wine. It's the same thing, whatever that substance is. Loads of people go to the gym and they work that out. It's a coping mechanism. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it back a little bit and not use a label to define how you're feeling, because that changes a lot of things, and think about how we can actually improve how we're feeling, whether it's burnout or not. So as I said, I think that for me, the first step that I did to getting less stressed and, feeling like I didn't burn out as much is not focusing on the stress for a start, and not thinking, oh, I'm getting burnt out and feeling negative about it. I just changed my lifestyle a little bit. And there are a few things that I did that I'd love to share with you, because since I've been doing this, I hardly feel stress. I feel like I can eat healthier. I seem to have more time in the day. I seem to be getting much more done because I have that less stress in my life. And whether it was burnout or whether it's not, I've definitely burnt out in the past. I think people just get tired. Because I get super tired too from time to time, and I plan to sleep a lot this weekend to recover from that, and that's okay. Even though I've said that I've improved on my stress, which I absolutely have, and I do feel a lot less stressed, but there are times when I work really hard and I put in extra hours, and that's okay too. So here are my top things that I've done as a form of self-care as an entrepreneur that have been absolutely game-changing for my lifestyle. The first one is probably the most important, and it's learning a very simple word, which I still find really difficult to say, and that's the word no. It's these two letters are probably the most powerful thing you can say when you're a business owner, because I already do so many things. As you can see, I'm already running multiple businesses, putting my fingers in a million pies, and yet somehow I want to say yes to everything and every opportunity that lands on my doorstep, and every speaking gig that someone offers me, or podcast or interview or a new initiative or working on another project. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Sounds great. That is definitely what leads to burnout. And whether it's burnout as in the traditional sense of work sense, or whether you're just extremely exhausted, because even if you love what you do, you're going to end up being absolutely shattered. So I think you've got to be super selective. And now I say no to most things. And it's been really, really hard to do, but that has been the number one thing. You have to be really clear on your goals and your vision, and just have a look at it and be like, if that's your goal of where you want to get to, Is what you're saying yes to going to help you get to that goal? If it's not, it's going to be a diversion on a track, then say no. As much as it sounds great, and like, you know, people are like, oh, but I could do with the money. Okay, so have a think about it. Is that money going to help you get to your goal? Because if it is, then great. If that money can actually help you then take some time out later because you don't have to earn the money later on, then that's okay. Think about it that way. But I just think anything that distracts you from your goal, you should say no to. This next one's gonna sound a bit bougie, but they have genuinely changed my life. And that is spa days. Honestly, I love a spa, and this might not be for you, so feel free to skip this chapter if it isn't, but I would do something relaxing that you like. But for me, a spa day has been the best thing I can do. And I do regular spa days now. The reason why I do them is I put myself in a place of luxury where it was ultimate relaxation, and I actually just switch off. I don't use my phone. I sit there and read a book, or I sit there and just relax. I use a sauna, steam room, so actually physically recovering my body as well. And I go lie in the like infinity pool and jacuzzi bit, and I just lie there and I think about things. And actually that is where almost all of my best business ideas have come from, because I'm just at the ultimate state of relaxation. Now, I have an Aura ring, and there's been times where I've been in that spa and my Aura ring is like, were you having a nap? And I'm like, wow, I was that relaxed. But it always shows my stress is absolute lowest in that spa. So I do think that that is my recovery time. Whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't have to be a spa. It's your thing, and you absolutely do need to book in this recovery time. I actually now have spa sessions booked into my diary as a non-negotiable. So I'm filming this right now. I'm off to do a teaching session, and after that, I'm going to the spa. And I've actually booked that into my diary as a thing, and I'm not gonna say no to it because I do think it's a very, very important part of my recovery. So I've been really playing around with some mindfulness lately, and I've probably said so many times, I'm not that spiritual, but you know, I've been really trying it out. So I downloaded the Balance app because they give you a year's free for you to try it out, so definitely go check that out. And I've been playing around with meditation, and I think that it's just such an important way to clear your head and not think about, like, you know, get lost in your thoughts. I think that that's really, really been helpful for reducing the stress, because you actually just take your mind away from certain situations. And if you start to feel yourself getting a little bit anxious, go into the app. The guy's voice is really soothing as well. Like, you can pick whichever voice you want. And I also do the same thing when I go on walks. So whether I'm walking my dog or I just go for a walk outside, I go out and I don't listen to anything. So I have my headphones on just to cancel out the noise, and I don't have any music through it. I don't have anything going on in there. It's really just so that I'm alone in my thoughts. And I think that this has been a really important part of me feeling a bit calmer and feeling a bit more relaxed, and actually just being able to have the time to process my thoughts. I think that when you're a busy founder, you're constantly making decisions, you're doing all these other things, and it's really easy to just let your thoughts run wild. And I think that this has been a really, really big game changer to just go out there and be able to process things without all the other noise and without pinging of emails or social media distracting you, and just actually allowing yourself to think about things without the distraction. So I love reading books, and I still read about 3 books a month, but the difference is now I've changed one thing. I now make sure I read at least 1 fiction book every month, because I think that I was absorbing so much content in terms of, like, even from books, like all the self-development books and business books, and I think it became all a bit too much. I think I was, you know, we have this information overload. So I made sure that one was a complete fiction book. And I personally love Stephen King, Harlan Coben, and John Grisham. They have lots of drama in their books. A lot of them are made into movies or TV shows too. And it just helps you escape from all the other stuff, and so it makes you feel, you know, that you're not living in reality, and they kind of get lost in it, and it's kind of fun. And I think that's been really, really helpful for me to take the stress away from my business and not have to think about it. And at the same time, I watch a lot of Netflix, and everyone's like, how do you manage to do things? And I watch about 15 hours of Netflix a week. I'm not even joking. Quite a lot of times it's more than that. And I watch silly shows. Like, instead of just watching documentaries, which I do sometimes because they're very interesting, I make sure I watch ridiculous shows, things that could never happen. So you are escaping from that reality. If you start to watch things and relate it back to your business, this becomes a problem. And naturally, you're going to do this a little bit, but if all the time you're like, oh, how does that apply to a business idea? What can I do? Oh my God, that reminds me of a situation with my colleague. That's not a good idea. So if you're watching stuff for entertainment and that's happening, that's a red flag. The last one is what I would consider the most important for me personally, just because I know what I'm like, and that is traveling. I go to a different country every single month and just explore and be around new things and around new places, trying out local culture, food, and experiencing so many different things with different senses. And I know that that is not an option for most people. I feel very blessed that I can do this, but I've been a massive travel bug since I was a kid. I've been to 82 different countries. I've been flying since I was 2 years old. So I've got it in me that I need to kind of go somewhere and explore new things and meet new people, travel the world. So I very much do that, but it doesn't have to be super far. You can do it for like 2-3 days as well. And if you can't do that, if you don't have the time to do that and you don't have the money to do that, that's okay. Just go somewhere different. For example, when there were times that I couldn't travel, I would just take my dog to a different park, for example. Obviously, you've got staycations in the UK too, but that is also still really expensive, and actually it's cheaper to hop on a flight sometimes. But I just mean like going somewhere different. For example, just getting on a train and going to a different place, even for a day trip. Take your laptop, work in a cafe somewhere, go for a walk in the park, visit a nice cathedral, go to a play, go to do something different. Escape from your normal reality of life, and you will see your endorphins rise, you will see your creativity come back, and you'll feel like a different person. For me, when this was taken away, I felt like a shell of myself. Since I've been going back traveling again, I feel so much happier and so much more relaxed. And I know that obviously this is like a self-care luxury and not everyone's got it, but I said you can do your own interpretation of that. For example, I just told you my elements of self-care that I need to help prevent burnout and, you know, lack of creativity and just a general low mood and lack of motivation towards work. Not everyone's gonna even think any of those are interesting. So you've got to do what's right for you. I think that you also need to learn and listen to your body, because every person's body reacts differently as well. So what things might trigger me and make me feel overwhelmed, you might absolutely love. So you really have to know what's good for you, but start to notice the things and the situations that you don't like at work and in your business, the things that stress you out, and try to eliminate them. So I hope that's been really useful to you, but I think that if you are starting to struggle and you are feeling overwhelmed, don't be afraid to share this with someone, because I think that also talking with someone else is super important and you absolutely need to. And if you feel like you want to reach out to me, then definitely find me on social media. I've got all my links in the show notes below. I'll be happy to hear from you.